Welcome back to John Babbitt. Welcome back to John Velvet's Shed. Today on this episode, I do a bunch of aluminium welding. I get the airbox done and put into the car, and I mount the intercooler. Some of the welding is good. Some of it is 4 out of 10. But hopefully if it seals up, then that's all good. We don't have to worry about it. But it was good to get the AC/DC TIG into use and learn a little bit more. Apart from that, I put the inline fuel filter in the fuel line just before the pump that I put in a previous episode, where you can find the link to here. And I also am just trying to get the intercooler piping lined up, and then pretty much it's just wiring things, and then I'll be for away. Alright, so I'm just busy making the airbox. I've sort of been told that to put a top hat on the carby, you should have an area in which that you can pressurize so that there's not a direct flow blowing through it, but there is always pressurized air accessible when you open the throttle. So I've just used 100 by 50 mil alley, and I've just sort of welded that side up and just sort of rounded it off, because eventually it's going to sit there. I have to just widen this out, and I've also done a base plate, and I just basically have to weld the two together and then have an area probably further down the back where I can send the boost in from the intercooler. The airbox is made of RHS aluminium extrusion. The ends are welded flat bar, and the inlet and outlet are made from intercooler piping. The outlet is welded to a flange made from 5mm flat bar, so it can be attached to the carburetor and form an airtight seal. The welded ends will be sanded down and the airbox polished to give the illusion that I know what I'm doing. I could severely regret this, but I can't quite fit the intercooler in sort of in front of the radiator without deleting the bonnet latch support. So I'm going to get rid of it completely. And worst comes to worst, I'll just put those like chrome bonnet pins. The intercooler is modified by removing the OEM mounting points. This is then test fit on the car, and the mounting points welded onto the top and the bottom of the intercooler. Okay, so I've been a bit cheap. I didn't really want to pay $50 for a bracket to hold this fuel filter, so I just made one out of the flat bar alley that I had and just sort of welded it together. It's ugly, but it still works. This is a 100 micron fuel filter that's going to go between the fuel tank and the fuel pump. I figured it'd be rude not to show you what I've done under here. I've replaced this fuel line, that's from the pickup, that's where the pickup is in here. Run it into a 100 micron filter, which goes around there. I might have to just secure that line and into the pump that we were talking about before. So you can see there, I still have to wire it up, but I'll do that next time. I've done a bunch of stuff off camera, mainly because it was just like sort of like tedious things that need to be done over and over again, that I've already sort of shown in previous videos. So I thought, get the intercooler mounted. I had to go through a few things and I'll talk you through that, but essentially at the moment the intercooler is completely mounted, which is schmecko. Apart from that, I've got everything connected. It took me a little bit of time and a little bit of welding. I didn't have a bead roller, which is what I wanted to talk about. And The reason why that's important is this is the aluminium intercooler pipe that I use, 2.5 inch for the most of it. This is just an offcut. The thing is, if you put a silicone bend on this and you put it under pressure, most likely higher pressure than what I'm running here, but either way, pressure nonetheless, you run the risk of having it blow off, and then obviously you lose boost to the engines, start running weird and obviously causing trouble. So the bead roller is something you can buy from, look, Aeroflow have one and a few other companies have them as well, where you actually get to stitch a nice sort of really neat bead around there so there's a ridge so the silicone hose doesn't jump off it, which is all well and good. I don't have $300 to just spend on something when, at the moment anyways, I'm just doing this one project. So what I just did is I basically laid a bead with a TIG welder just around there sufficiently just to hold it on. Good cheap alternative. Yeah, let's show you what I've done. Alright, so first port of call was mounting the actual intercooler. Now, this is an FG Falcon intercooler. Some of you might be able to recognize that. Not that bit, but the rest of it. And it seemed to fit quite perfectly into the spot that I needed it to, which is awesome, because I basically wanted the biggest one possible. Obviously, not having an ECU, it's probably better to have a bigger one, and it'd just be nicer on the engine, irrelevant if it's too big for that turbo or whatever. Fight me if you disagree. But because of that, it had weird mounting points on the side, which you would have seen in earlier videos, and I've just cut them off really roughly, just with my little bandsaw. And I got some round stock, drilled and tapped it, just to accept M5 hex bolts, which has been awesome. I was quite worried about doing that, but I've sorted it out pretty well, noticing that this is the reservoir in which, or rather the channel in which the air goes through, and this is just a protective outer. I was quite worried I was going to burn through that and then have a leak or anything like that, but if you look at it, you can just go wild. And that's what I did on all of them. And this is just angle, 90-degree angle, and I've just got some washers in there, rubber washers there, and some nylon washers there, just so it doesn't make a noise or rattle around too much. Fortunately, when I took the pillar out here, I was able to use the whole sort of intercooler as a structure, so the latch closes. So I'm not going to be putting anything on the bonnet, like bonnet latches or anything yet, unless I think they look cool. The other difficulty I had is running, sorry, I've started to put quite a bit of stuff back in here, but running from the turbo itself is like, I don't know, it's 1 5/8 inch outlet or something like that, I don't know. And so I couldn't really find anything, so I've just had to go 2 inch and just clamp it down, which I've done there. And so this whole hot side is 2 inch stainless, because I couldn't get a 2 inch alley because COVID, probably. And I had that lying around, so you can see it underneath there, running down the side, which is awesome because I was concerned that I wasn't going to be able to keep the battery in the front, but it looks like I can, depending on where I'm going to put the pod filter and where I can get away with it when it comes to actually engineering this project. Come on through there, don't tell anyone, I drilled some holes to the best of my ability, and I've just put fuel hose around there just to protect them. A bit of an awkward fit, but a fit no less. Now, this horrible looking weld was my attempt at welding 2 different thicknesses together, and I just went ham to try and make sure that I didn't have any leaks. I was using the wrong size tungsten and it made life really hard. Fixed it up, was able to weld it a bit better. I wish I did it from the beginning, but life's hard. Across there, same again, 90-degree up through that hole that I cut. Don't tell anyone. Just spotted on this video that the hose has come off there, so I will fix that, because there's no way in hell I'll let that just stay like that, because I'll rub through. Well, not me personally, that's frowned upon. Up and around here, And I just haven't put any clips on that because when I first start the car, I'm going to be running it without this on because I don't want it going under boost, and I just want it to naturally aspirate for the time being, which should be fine. Just run it in to start off with, and then I can blow all the crap out of there too. And apart from that, I haven't done too much else in the engine bay. Oh, except for putting the circlip back into the housing there, because we can't have any blowouts, can we? So that's all well and good. That's back in there, and honestly, a couple more episodes and I think I'll be able to start it. Depends on how much I do off camera. I'm probably going to leave it at that for this video so I can post it. It's been a while since I've posted anything, so I've got to get this one out there. As of the next video, most likely I'm going to do throttle cable and wiring. And then maybe a little turn of the key. But until then, I'm going to sit in the driver's seat and pretend to change gears.